Okay, guys, we are live and we're going to get right to it. This is not good news, but let me first welcome Rich. Rich, how are you doing?
Good morning, Crumpy. We only talked like a minute ago.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this isn't what I thought we were going to be breaking.
No. No, that's going to be broken later. The Supreme Court order list came out today. On the order list, there is no Ocean State or the assault weapons case out of Maryland. But there was Antonyuk. Antonyuk challenged the CCIA, and unfortunately, the certiorari was denied.
So, okay, let's explain in detail a little bit about certiorari getting denied on this. What happened is we had the Bruin decision, brilliantly written by Clarence Thomas, and a knee-jerk reaction, and in fact it seems like Clarence Thomas had some insight into what they were cooking up in New York and said, you can't declare the whole state as a gun-free zone. Don't even try that crap.
You can't you can't declare places just because that's where people gather as sensitive areas, blah blah blah.
And
originally this case went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court GVR'd it, which is granted tertiary, vacated the circuit court's decision and remanded it back down. They did that because of Rahimi. They looked at it. The circuit court up in New York looked at it and said, no, we got it right. And then they issued the same ruling. They confirmed their ruling, affirmed their ruling. So it went. So this is a Gun Owners of America case. Gun Owners of America filed for a writ of certiorari again, and the Supreme Court said we're not taking this case.
So, in other words, let's. So the case that we're speaking about specifically is what?
Antioch.
Antioch. All right. So. And just to get to the CCIA, New York, after the Bruin case, came out with a CCIA and basically pooped all over Clarence Thomas's ruling.
Yeah. In fact, Holko even said that it was in response to the CCIA.
Which violated your CCIA was in response to the Bruin decision by Clarence Thomas.
Yes.
And so, as far as I'm concerned, the Supreme Court Gestapo should go out and enforce their ruling. Well, there is no such thing. So the Supreme Court GVR'd, which is granted certiorari.
Yeah, they vacated the decision, and remanded it back down, like I said.
But when you GVR, it's like, hey, you came to the wrong decision. Is basically what the Supreme.
It's not exactly saying that. It's what happened was the Rahimi case came down, so they said, "Hey, you need to consider what we said in Rahimi in this case." And then the circuit court said, "No, that doesn't really. It wouldn't have really mattered." And then they did that. It went back up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said we're not interested in hearing this case. We're denying the petition to hear it. So right now, this is where the Antioch case dies.
So when something gets cert or doesn't get cert, do we know if it's a 6-3 decision and who decided what?
Sometimes, but in this case, because they can write, I would have granted cert, blah blah blah.
So sometimes there's dissent, is what you say.
Yeah, sometimes there's a lot of times there's dissent. Sometimes one of the justices will put more information in that. This time we didn't get that, so we're not really sure. It's just a single line. I'll show it to you.
So how many of the justices have been to Epstein Island that denied this?
I don't know, but let me just show it right here. So This is the order list here. As you can see, what I just highlighted here,
So that's all we know. That's all the information.
that's it.
Wow. Wow. So if I was going to write a news story about this, I could say breaking news 6-3 Supreme Court decision changing the face of the Second Amendment,
Yeah, come on.
referencing
You always
Bruin.
are on that guy. HR 38, that would be federal law. Federal law is superior to state law. Yeah, and in Gabriel, there's no Snopes. No Snopes today, no Oceanside. So we're waiting for those. Wait, no. Actually, hold on. I got to do something here.
I'm ouch.
Yeah.
The fudge.
There's no Snopes here. No Oceanside. This case, it's. I mean, what can I say? It's a loss, right?
This, like, when you calculate the trajectory of something like this specific case, when the court decides and then the SCOTUS says GVR, you would, and if they came up, the lower court came up with the same decision again, I would have expected them to grant it certiorari and review it. Now, let me ask one more question. Is it possible that for this calendar, they're not going to take it, but the next calendar in 6 months, they're going to take it?
No.
So dead.
It's dead. And this is
wow.
This has been denied cert. So it's over.
Holy. So you tell me Kathy Hochul's having a victory party today?
Yeah.
The fudge. Where's Clarence Thomas? I need to call him. What's his number?
I mean, yeah, so yeah, actually that brings up a good question. I'm wondering if Hochul or anything made a statement.
You mean the Wicked Witch herself? Yeah. Dude, it's kind of like, you know how they say, oh, don't kill the dictator in this country because who comes up after him might be worse?
Yeah. Yeah, so let's see here. I'm checking a couple different things.
I'm kind of wanting Cuomo back. Oh, wait, I didn't mean that. I did not mean that. He might be mayor of New York City soon.
Let me just see something here. That's wrong password.
I'm like, this really just flies in the face of all logic, reason, Constitution, Second Amendment, Bruin.
Yeah, it's definitely not what I expected.
Yes, exactly not what I expected.
But unfortunately, it is what we got. I mean, there still is a chance, but it was interlocutory appeal.
All right, so interlocutory appeal, what does that mean?
Come on, Rich. You don't know what interlocutory appeal means? It means the cases haven't been heard on the merits. So, I mean, there's still a chance that, but right now, it's done.
Ooh, Greg, cutting straight to the root.
No, for right now, it's done. What I'm saying is, this is not going to come back next term. the he's gonna have to go through the whole merits thing and stuff like that. So,
Is it possible there's any good news coming today?
yeah, there is good news coming today.
And you can't talk about it yet because you got to wait for something to happen.
Yes.
So we're telling everybody stay tuned, keep an eye out for alerts because there's going to be some good news coming later today. So don't kick your cat because of this decision.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a cat lover, so don't anyone, get mad at me for saying that. It's a figure of speech.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens, but there is some good news coming today, and there's some good news coming down tomorrow. I actually had a nice conversation with
your wife, with Dark, with your kids.
Dude, I'm trying to get to it. I had a nice conversation with the leadership at ATF.
John, blink twice if you're in a hostage situation.
No, and tonight we will be discussing some of that. I can't go into detail with some of the stuff because I do know some of the stuff that's coming down that's actually positive for us.
So
But I did have a conversation with the leadership of ATF. They reached out to me, which was insane. But we'll be talking about that more later on, probably tonight. But yeah, it was interesting. But in this case, we don't have any other information right now. There was no public vote. There was no statements. So all we know is that
can't say it now. You messed it up in my brain. Writ of certiorari.
It was denied.
Wow. John, I just want to let you know I had this fluid trap that had a hole in it, and I left it in your basement when I stopped by. Did you see it?
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's it. We're gonna get out of here, but just wanted to do a quick video to let everyone know exactly what is going on. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching. We'll be back. We have
10 o'clock tonight.
It will be back before then.
Before then,
we have more breaking news, just waiting for it to come out, and then we will break that once it gets released. But this is not what we wanted, but it's what we got. So, yeah. And with that, we're out of here. See you guys later. Bye.